Hey, everybody. Darin Zoccali and Scott Shapiro here with you at Twin Spires. Thanks so much for joining us once again as we continue on our way to the Kentucky Derby with a stop this week in a place close to home, a stone's throw from me in Ozone Park, New York, Aqueduct Racetrack, the Withers Stakes. Scott, this is a race that's been run for quite some time. Recently, it's been stretched out to 1 mile and an eighth, and we have a rather compelling field in terms of the fact that from a betting standpoint, it looks like a wide open race on paper.
Sure does. Pretty challenging analytical puzzle there, and risk-taking, winning it last year for Chad Brown. He'll try to make it 2 in a row with early voting, max player the year before intact. So not necessarily horses that ran great in the Kentucky Derby, but some useful horses for sure. Looking at the race from a pace perspective was a little tricky. Some horses that coming off of races over the slop, including the Jerome, which we talked about before we came on. Quite the challenge to watch that one on replay. And then you have the fact that it was over and off going at the 1 turn mile. Now it's about 1 mile and an eighth. So lots going on here, but I think it'll be a contentious pace. Don't see it being real hot. How about you?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. And I think there's also a lot of the contenders, aside from early voting, that are looking to get a similar trip, trying to find that spot mid-pack stalk rally, maybe 4 or 5 lengths off it. And that often makes things a bit tricky when you have several horses looking for that same spot, because you know someone's going to end up in a spot that they don't want to be in.
Yeah, without a doubt. And there's, some riders here that don't have a ton of experience in big races like the Withers. And, be interesting to see how they handle things. A lot of times their instinct would be to be a little bit more aggressive, maybe sometimes less aggressive, but we'll see. But early voting, 3-1 morning line favorite there. And I thought, easily could make the case this is the horse to beat. A lot of solid pedigree here, a dominant maiden performance. But you have to ask yourself a few questions if you're willing to swallow that likely short price. Are you willing to take a horse that's taking on winners for the first time, also stretching out to 2 turns for the first time? Was really impressive, could be loose on the lead, probably not in my opinion. But those are the questions you have to ask yourself 3-1 on the line.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, a big, good-looking son of Gun Runner who was very visually impressive in terms of that maiden win. I'm not quite sure he knew exactly what he was doing. He looked like he wanted to get to the front. He probably made the lead a little bit sooner than he wanted to, and I think probably got a little bit lonely in the lead mid to late stretch there. And I'm not sure how much it was that Matt Doyle was gaining on him if in terms of early voting, if he was just kind of getting a little bit bored out there. We'll have to see how he stretches things out to 1 mile and an eighth, but it is certainly tough to take a short price. And it's also going to be tough to take a short price on Constitutional Lawyer, a horse that you thought might have been, before the morning line came out, might have been a horse to get some value on, but it seems that big figure in the mud certainly caught the morning line odds makers' attention.
Yeah, I thought this could be a little bit, not a super sneaky pick by any stretch of the imagination, but maybe like a 4th or 5th choice. Took 3 starts to break the maiden, then did so over the muddy going. What I thought was encouraging about this son of Constitution was the fact that he figured out those gate issues that plagued him through his first 2 starts, breaking from the inside, broke on top, and never looked back. But it was over the muddy going, and like I said, it was against non-winners, of course, in a maiden race. The question now, again, are you willing to swallow 7-2 on the line off that big figure? To me, I had to look elsewhere. That 92 Brisnet speed rating, to me, was a little bit embellished, likely over the muddy going, even though I think this horse might have a nice future.
I certainly agree. And obviously, one of the races that was a key prep for this was the Jerome Stakes. And man, was that fun trying to watch that replay. I think I watched it about 17 times from 14 different angles, trying to see what trip each horse had. It was certainly tough. It's certainly tough to do. You like a horse that's coming out of that race from the far outside. He's going to have to overcome this wide draw, though.
Yeah, that's Cook Creek here, a little bit better value than Constitution Lawyer. Cook Creek 6-1 on the line, was the favorite in that aforementioned Jerome. I'm willing to forgive that effort. It was over a sloppy going. It was at a 1-turn mile. I think this son of Uncle Mo wants 2 turns. I thought visually, now the Brisnet speed rating doesn't support it, but I think visually his best effort was the lone 2-turn race at Delaware Park in the $50,000 Rocky Run when he was wide throughout and still overcame that trip to win that race. I thought he ran fine into Nashua chasing Rockefeller around the racetrack. Now gets back to 2 turns, second start of the form cycle. You mentioned the outside post. It is a little concerning, but I do think there's the way this race shapes up. I do think the fact that this horse breaks from the gate well and then gets taken back a lot, that should allow Manny Franco to kind of pick his spot. Definitely going to need that 6-1 with the potential of that wide voyage, but I do like Cook Creek on the stretch out.
I went price shopping as well. I landed on the number 2 here, and that's Grantham. This is a horse that I watched at Turfway Park back in December, who was very impressive in that maiden win, stumbled badly at the start, picked himself up off the ground, put himself back into the race. Obviously, he had a very easy trip stalking the speed, hooked up wide coming off the turn, got into a bit of a battle, opened up and held off both a Claiborne runner and a Juddmonte runner coming down to the wire that I think both have some ability. He is going back to dirt. I thought he was going to take the Kentucky route on the way to the Derby here if he was going to take that position, but the horse is going all the way to New York for Mike Maker, which I do think is interesting. I think this horse has some ability coming off an 83 Brisnet speed figure. Why not take a chance in a wide open race?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to knock a 10-1, except that I will knock him a little bit. I don't like the maiden race that he came out of at Churchill Downs at all. I thought that was a poor field. Rocket Dog has been disappointing in his return race. Excuse me. And then that last race at Turfway got the job done. You mentioned the stumbled start, but you also mentioned that he did find a perfect spot. He was under a ride in that race. I thought he was going to be off the board. I just think it was a weak group. So I think he's got to step things up, but you're getting a fair price.
Getting a fair price. That race did produce a next out winner in addition to Grantham and a couple of next out runner ups. And Rocket Dog's race, I thought was too bad to believe in the gun runner, but we'll see. One of us will be right and the other won't. Those are our selections for the Withers Stakes. Remember to be a part of the Kentucky Derby leaderboard contest, that big piece of $100,000. All of these races that award points to the horses that run 1, 2, 3, 4. You can earn points in the Kentucky Derby $100,000 leaderboard contest. That contest will be with you all prep season long. Make sure to go to twinspires.com and opt in. We'll see you all season handicapping these great prep races for you on the road to the Kentucky Derby.